what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Not much. What are you doing? Outrun 2006? That's actually a pretty good game. Hey, do you remember the original?
You mean Outrun for the Sega Master System?
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what I was talking about. But anyway, it only had one car, and really, what good is that?
Bro, alright, let me throw some knowledge at you here. First off, Outrun had awesome music. You had 3 different tracks you could choose from, the first of its kind right there. 2, multiple environments. You didn't just have one board, you had multiple boards, like Coconut Beach, Desert, and Devil's Canyon. 3, you have many different routes you could take, which would ultimately lead you to different endings. What do you think about them apples?
Alright, well that may be all well and good, but you know what? I have a game that's even better than Outrun. It's Rad Racer for the NES. First of all, it was developed by Square, who went on to make such great hits as Final Fantasy series and Kingdom Hearts. Also, it has 3 different soundtracks, all written by future Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu. But where this game really shines, it's in its racing. Rad Racer had 8 levels, which got increasingly more difficult the further the player progressed. The game allowed the player to select between 2 different vehicles to race from, the Ferrari and the Formula 1 Racer. Also, it is one of the very few NES games to actually feature 3D capability.
Whoa! Dude, I can't even finish this. My eyes are burning. This is ridiculous.
Alright, so maybe the 3D wasn't such a great idea, but you have to admit, it had a lot of options. You could play 2 different racers.
Who cares about 2 different racers when the handling is terrible? They both drove exactly the same.
Alright, I'll give you that. It was a lot tighter on the Rad Racer.
But not to mention the music was so much better. I mean, 3 different stations, that soundtrack was just awesome.
Yeah, that played nothing but techno music. And here, my game, Rad Racer, our composer went on to go and do the Final Fantasy series.
Alright, that's a good point. That's a good point. But, you know, in terms of location playing, Outrun is far superior.
How so?
Because you got the Sega Master System and you got the arcade. People could go to 2 different places to play instead of just sitting at home.
And Rad Racer was the same way. It was out for the Nintendo. Everybody had an NES back in the day. And not to mention, it did come out in the arcades later on as a Nintendo Play 10 choice game.
You know what? We're never going to come to an agreement on this. So why don't we let them decide?
Matt, I agree with you. Let's let them decide. You can go online and take our poll, or you can send us an email to famicomflashbacks@yahoo.com.
The year 1985. As our racers line up at the gate, Player 1 is the clear underdog. And they're off. Player 1 takes his time out of the gate. As they reach the first hill, Player 1 takes it like a pro. Let's see that one again. But hill number 2 proves to be too much. Our hero races back to his bike and into the race, overcoming all obstacles on his way to victory.
Welcome to bit.Girl, where we make crafts and creations based on classic video games. I'm your host, Marcy Renee. This episode is all about speed, so today we're going to make Sonic cheesy rings inspired by our favorite hedgehog. This recipe is really simple. The first thing you're going to need is flour, and then cheese, and of course butter. Our first ingredient is flour. Then we'll add our cheese and our butter. Now that our ingredients are thoroughly mixed, we're ready to make our cheesy rings. We're going to lightly flour the surface of our workspace. To put these in the oven, which we have preheated to 400 degrees. They'll cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. That looks delicious. This is a perfect snack to share with your favorite gamer. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of bit.Girl. We'll see you next time.
Pretty good.
Yeah, those they are. Cheesy rings. A little bit funky. Well, thank you for joining us for our premiere edition of Famicom Flashbacks. Keep an eye out for our upcoming podcast where we'll discuss our top 5 racers of all time. And here to just give you a preview is Matt.
Thanks, Steve. And in no particular order, we have Need for Speed, Super Mario Kart, Gran Turismo, RC Pro-Am, and F-Zero. Those were our top 5. Do you agree?
Or disagree.
Go to our Facebook page and leave us your top 5 or shoot us an email.
And make sure you catch our upcoming podcast where your responses could be read on the air.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Steve. And thanks for watching Famicom Flashbacks.